Steve, I want to get your thoughts on what I've had to say about the state of play at the moment. I mean, one of the main seats where the coalition is really looking to pick up what were very safe Labor seats is Victoria. Do you see this mood, this rejection of the Prime Minister continuing in your state?
It was really interesting what you said at the beginning of the program, because what I picked up today, and you made the point that the Liberal Party had held back a lot of their campaign funding, and now they're going to let it loose in the last week and a half. Listening to 3AW, the main talkback radio station in Melbourne today, in every ad break from around about 7 in the morning until around midday, there was a Peter Dutton voiced ad talking about what he was going to offer Victorians. Now, 3AW is slightly less conservative than my old station 2GB in Sydney, and it's got a massive audience. Their breakfast show rates 20%, their morning show rates 14 or 15%, and their audience, and I know because I used to run the joint, it's all spread through the outer ring suburbs of Melbourne where all those seats you just mentioned are, and they're now hammering the positive messages from Peter Dutton on that radio station. They would have spent tens of thousands, if not over $100,000 in one day, and that's going to happen over and over and over again. And I think Victoria is still a place to keep your eye on, and Bronwyn talks about 13 seats, and so do you. There could be 8, 9, 10 seats in Victoria alone, if you believe what you're hearing on the ground. And as you said, voting started today.
If that's true, Steve, if the swing really is on in Victoria, then, pushes the size of Dutton's win up much more, because he's going to pick up a few in New South Wales. I mean, New South Wales is getting more difficult, but he's going to pick up a few in New South Wales, potentially one in a couple of other states. So if it is that big in Victoria, then he's in a position to form minority government. He'd be clearly ahead.
The Labor brand here is so toxic, and I've said it to you before, but it happened again last weekend, where we find out that during COVID, Daniel Andrews, the Premier, was telling us he was taking medical advice. There's now documents that show that he was the one who decided to have a curfew where no one could go out of their house after 9 o'clock at night and couldn't go out before 5 o'clock in the morning. That was a decision taken by a Labor politician. The only Labor politician still in power who was in the cabinet that made that decision is the current Premier. So the people of Victoria don't like Labor, and they're not saying, oh, well, Anthony Albanese's different to what Dan Andrews and Jacinta Allan are like. They are saying, do we really want this mob to be in charge of us again?
That is such a scandal, that big exclusive revealed by the Herald Sun, that, instead of getting health advice, he got advice from pollsters, literally pollsters. There are young, children, but teenagers who committed suicide. Their mental health issues were so bad, Bronwyn, during the COVID lockdowns, as a result of the decisions Daniel Andrews took for his own popularity against health advice.
Absolutely. And we all really thought that that's what was going on at the time, I have to say. But to have the proof of it, well, no wonder you've got builders who won't build a house for him, or other people who won't let him associate with people. I just feel that Victoria was served so badly under Labor that feeling's still there. It does remind me a bit of 1990 when Andrew Peacock won 9 seats in Victoria. It was New South Wales that let him down in not winning that election. And New South Wales this time won't be letting the coalition down.
No, there's still plenty of seats, or not as many, of course, but still plenty to pick up in New South Wales. Steve, I want to get your reaction, returning to the Pope's passing, what I spoke about with Bronwyn. The Prime Minister today said there'll be a pause in campaigning, a pause in the hostilities. He suddenly cares about Catholicism when he's mocked it in the past. The hypocrisy here.
Well, as Bronwyn said, he refused to take the oath on the Bible when he was sworn in as Prime Minister. If you go back and look at the history of Anthony Albanese and his relationship with religion, I'm not sure you're going to find a very staunch Catholic. I mean, he mocked Tony Abbott, he called him the mad monk. I mean, to suddenly decide that the death of the Pope means that you're suddenly yourself a staunch Catholic. Look, maybe Anthony Albanese's had a late life conversion to religion, but if you'd asked me a question 2 weeks ago, whether I thought Anthony Albanese was particularly religious, I would have said no.
Yeah, he's never said that he is religious, Bronwyn, but this would have been politically advantageous for him, as you were about to say before.
Yeah.
1 in 5 Australians are Catholic, and it would have given him more time to prepare for the debate tonight. And of course, he doesn't want there to be any campaigning days because that works in Dutton's advantage.
It also gave him good pictures. But on that question of the pausing of the campaign, I approve of that because this is a country where the dominant religion is Christian.
Yes.
This country was founded on Christian values and principles. And I think it is appropriate, and I'm saying this as a Protestant, I think it is appropriate that the marking of the Pope's passing is recognised in this way to say that this is who we are as a people and a nation. And I think that's very important.
No, I agree with you, and we gave a lot of coverage on the show last night to the Pope's passing, which happened just before we went to air, because religion is important, and he is not only an historic figure, but he was incredibly inspirational to billions of Catholics around the world and other people as well. And we're going to cross live to the Vatican in a moment, as I said.